Woe be unto him who opens one of the 7 gateways to hell, because through that gateway, evil will invade the world.
Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. In this little town, when the 14th comes round, there's a silence and fear in the air. Remember the morn that the legend was born, all the shock and the horror was there. Oh, the legend, they say, on a Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. And no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago.
Come on, take a look.
All right, so I'm here with Dustin Mills to talk about a very special 1981 movie. I don't know if it's very special to many, but it's special to me and you. And this is 1981's The Burning, one of my personal favorite slashers. I know you're a fan as well.
Yeah.
How you doing, Dustin?
I'm good. I watched The Burning and the other movie we're going to do, which is like the first time I watched a horror movie since Halloween. Yeah, had a good time watching those. So
Actually, The Burning is probably a terrible movie to watch in the winter because it's such a summer movie.
yeah, it looks very warm. It looks warmer than it is. Yeah.
So The Burning, the plot is pretty simple. During the early 80s, there was a lot of slashers due to the popularity of Halloween and, of course, Friday 13th. We had the summer camp slasher, and The Burning was probably the first one to come out of the summer camp slashers besides Friday 2. I don't know which one came out first. And there's so many slashers in 81. If you look at the year as a whole, besides werewolves, it's slashers and werewolves for 81. There were so many popular slashers. We had two of the big franchises having sequels. And The Burning kind of stands up as one of the bigger, I'd say better summer camp slashers, along with maybe Sleepaway Camp. Although Sleepaway Camp is much cheaper, I would say, and more regional. This is also the first film produced by the Weinsteins, which is crazy. And directed by a British director who's not really a horror guy. He directed another movie I think you're a fan of, Split Second.
Split Second's okay.
Yeah, I feel it's okay.
The directing isn't the problem.
No.
The problem is the movie makes no sense, but...
Okay, so the plot of The Burning, it follows the classic tale of a mythical person in New Jersey area called Cropsey, which I guess was a campfire tale. Madman made the same years based on the same kind of character. And Cropsey was kind of a local boogeyman. So essentially, Cropsey in this film is a caretaker of this small little, Camp Blackfoot, I think it is. I don't remember which one's
Something
which.
like that, I don't remember.
And the kids pull a prank on poor old Cropsey, who looks kind of like Paulie from Rocky here. And he gets toasted, and Cropsey comes back a couple years later, I assume, after some unsuccessful skin grafts that make him look like some sort of mole man. And he starts to kill the kids with garden shears. That's essentially the plot.
Yeah. You say poor old Cropsey, but I caught something this time I hadn't caught before, where when they're talking about in the beginning, they're talking about like he beat the shit out of some of the kids or something. Like I think
he's
he
a
did
bully.
he's like a bad guy. I mean, I'm not saying they should have lit him on fire, but he seems like maybe not the nicest guy.
I was being facetious. He was just some drunk, ordinary prick that should have had no business working around anybody, especially children.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was par for the course in the 80s and 90s.
What is up with the goddamn pranks of the 80s? Like, in Terror Train the year before, they're like, yeah, we're just going to have him accidentally lay down with a dead body and have sex with it or something. It's like, that's not a prank. These are, like, serious, gross, weird crimes, not pranks. Like, we're going to... And this is another one of those where it's like, this isn't really a prank either. Like, a prank would be just like TP the shit out of this guy's house, like just put dog shit everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like teenagers in the 80s and 90s, at least in the movies, were psychopathic and cruel with their pranks. They took it a little far.
So, some standout things of this movie are, of course, the score is great by Rick Wakeman. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, I think when I was watching this, because you know how I feel about slasher movies. It's not my favorite subgenre of horror. There's only a handful that I really enjoy, this being one of them. And I think part of it is because this one is like, has all the slasher elements in it, pretty much. It's almost like Slasher Movie, the movie, because it's like spooky legend with fake out scares, a good score, great special effects,
Savini effects.
Savini effects, a bunch of full frontal nudity, sleazy characters,
man
just
ass.
the general the vibe, the what?
Man ass. There's so many male butts in this movie.
There's some man ass for sure. But yeah, it's just kind of funny. Like I noticed the score this time too, and most of the time it's great. There's a couple parts where it's really silly and strange, but during the horror parts, it works really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this probably, as far as slashers are concerned, I tend to gravitate towards the summer camp ones because I used to canoe a lot as a kid, and I used to camp a lot, and I never registered that. This is a movie I showed a lot of my friends, and we always enjoyed it, probably due to that, being outside a lot in the summer, Point Place, being a peninsula. And I just think it's a little bit scarier in the summer, in the woods and everything. You feel more isolated. I think another big thing that always worked about The Burning is the kids feel like kids. They're not 37-year-old guys in high school.
Yeah. Well, some of them. It just depends.
Glazer.
Glazer seems like a kid to me. The Eddie is the one where I'm like, what is this guy, 40?
Oh, Eddie is. Bro's hairline is worse than both of our hairlines, and he is supposed to be 18. We're like 40.
It's those. It might just be those New Jersey genetics, man. And who knows if Jason Alexander could have been wearing a toupee? I don't know.
No, I mean he's great in this though. He's still
great.
Everybody's great. And the character and acting are great. Like the guy who plays Eddie is Ned Eisenberg. He would be in Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis. He's one of the gang leaders. He's a good actor, solid actor. Jason Alexander's great. You got Holly Hunter in there. Larry Joshua, who plays Glazer, is also a good actor. He pops up in Spider-Man. He's the guy.
Wait. Go back. Who is Holly Hunter?
No lines in it. She's one of the surviving girls. No lines in the blue shirt. She's there in the background.
Never noticed her. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just like, Holly Hunter. Where?
And I mean, the funny thing is, I think the worst actor in the movie is probably the lead guy, the counselor.
He's not bad.
He's just not good.
It seems like he's in a different movie.
Yeah.
Like his delivery is really weird. Like he's delivering everything like theatrical hero man, and it's like nobody else is talking like this. Everyone else is talking like a person.
It looked like he did a lot of his own stunts towards the end of the movie when he's like running down like the mountains and stuff. I was like, that's actually the guy. I was like, that looked dangerous as shit. Like thinking about it. Yeah. Like this movie is definitely not worried about people getting hurt.
No, I mean they lit a man on fire twice, so they don't care. Speaking of the acting, this time I really appreciated Glazer's performance.
Me too.
I don't know if I'm like that guy's either really good or he's like really that dumb in real life and it's just like coming through. Like I'm not sure which one it is, but his character and performance are pretty fantastic, and he's kind of played up to be like the bad guy, like the bully or something. But the kids he's bullying are like disgusting perverts. So
he only picks on one kid, and it's the guy who fucking literally. I think back in the 80s, people would have like sympathy for Brian Backer, who's in Fast Times at Richmond High. He's a decent actor too.
The peeper, the guy who's peeping on the girl in the shower and stuff. Yeah.
But as we're older, we're like, fuck that guy. Go tell him to fuck. Like, and I love that the counselor is always sticking up for people. He's like, leave him alone. He wouldn't do that. It's like
burgeoning sexual predator.
Yes.
Did you feel like? I guess that guy, what's his name? Todd, the hero guy who also was part of the prank that burned crops.
Yeah.
I guess he's the closest thing to a main character, but I felt like the movie almost doesn't have one.
I would agree. Yeah.
There's memorable characters like I've forgotten his name. The guy who is in Short Circuit.
Woodstock. Fisher Stevens.
Fisher Stevens.
He's great too. He's probably my second favorite. Jason
Alexander's great and memorable in this, and Glazer's great. But yeah, I was like, this is very ensemble. There's not like a clear like through line like plot character development thing for any one character. It's just kind of like they're at camp, stuff is happening, and in the background quietly, Cropsey has started knocking people off.
And the killer's dangerous. Like he's scary as shit and gross. The same. I think the two most underrated 80s slashers. Are definitely, I mean, as far as the villain, even though they're probably not underrated, is Cropsey and the Miner from My Bloody Valentine. Those movies are both really strong movies, and obviously those are the two that should have got a sequel because and
they both have that improvisational, naturalistic kind of dialogue too. That you see that in My Bloody Valentine.
Regional, they feel regional, but Burning feels like a Friday kind of clone because those Friday movies were made in like Jersey area too, and all the actors are kind of similar.
Yeah, I was about to say I think they are regional, right? Because The Burning is New Jersey, and My Bloody Valentine's just like a small town in Canada, right? Like
it's definitely Canadian. Everybody's like, I lost my ass out there. I couldn't stop laughing when I was watching.
I mean, they look Canadian. I don't know how to pinpoint what that is, but there's a Canadian look that you see in My Bloody Valentine.
And I think that the 81 slashers felt so different from latter-day slashers or anything because, like, while I watched this, most of them take the time to develop the characters. If it's Just Before Dawn or even Final Exam or especially Friday 2, I'm like, well, and The Burning, I'm like, and My Bloody Valentine, I was like, I like these people. I'm worried about these people. And when they die, I actually feel something. That's why I think 81 is the crop of the top of it.
Not only that, but it stretches into all aspects of the production, too. Like, there's a couple questionable moments in the burning, like there's a part near the end when he's in like Cropsy's, I don't know what it is. It's like a shed or a shack or whatever, where the climax takes place. And there's this weird cut to like a superimposed still from another part of the movie. I never noticed. I never really gave a second thought before this, but this time I was like, that's really weird. And it especially stood out because the production on the rest of this is so good. The cinematography is good. The lighting is really good. The sound design is good. And I think the reason maybe these early ones stand out from the rest is because, you know, they were still trying to make a good movie. They weren't just under the gun to get something out to make money for the summer or fall season or whatever it was. You know, they were it wasn't like there were established slasher directors yet. Like you said, this guy wasn't even a horror guy, really.
No, I didn't even like horror movies.
Yeah, so I think he was just trying to make the best movie he could, because there's some really exceptional cinematography and lighting in this one that you don't see in a lot of other movies of this caliber and era. And
the opening he's definitely aping a giallo when he gets out of there, and they have that whole opening is great when like the arm and he grabs him and he's all burnt and the guy's scared. It's like cheap version of Lawrence Fishburne and Anthony Edwards in the beginning. They're like, we can't get them, we got these guys instead. And it's just like, okay, but they don't look like them, but they know like the guys that they would hire to try to look like them. But
that part stuck out as really funny to me too, because like that guy's like an orderly or a nurse or something, and like the patient with the horribly burned hand grabs him. And instead of being like, oh crap, I gotta like, you know, kick into like work mode and help this guy or whatever, he's just like, oh, he just like screams for like 5 minutes straight.
And then the music comes on and they have the wheelchair, they're pushing him. It's like, sorry, the skin grafts didn't take. And it's like the music. And then he gets out into the real world, and the first thing he does is go straight up Joe Spinell maniac and literally just kills a prostitute. That whole scene's fucked up.
It's very upsetting because the actress is pretty good, and she's like begging, and that's really artsy too, because it's like you do see the knife go in, but there's also a long shot where just like blood splatters across the mirror and it kind of pushes into the mirror, and really well done, but also feels very sleazy, that whole sequence.
It's very Dario too, because the head through the glass, like that's Dario 101, like from Suspiria to everything, like, and it feels like a giallo. It feels very much like a mixture of Maniac and Suspiria and more giallo. No, I mean, Suspiria's not giallo, but it has giallo tendencies in there or whatever.
Right, yeah. It's Italian, yeah.
Yeah, so the other thing I want to mention about Glazer is there's that scene, we talked about his performance, and he has that moment where he's with his girlfriend or whatever, and he goes a little early. And he feels bad, and they show that weakness, and he's like starts to show his uncertainty. I was like, oh, that's such a good little touch to give him that little humanistic moment where you kind of feel bad for him. And he's also a bully that no one really likes, and they feel like they kind of pick on him almost the same way. Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
True. I felt like all the girls kind of liked him. Like when they were like picking on him, it felt like, that's because they all like him. But his girlfriend is pretty fucking mean to him. like in that same scene where he pops off a little early, she's like, she goes hard on him, like she really gives him the business over nutting too soon.
Yeah, but he was selling that hard, man. Like
that's true. Like, he was like, it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be the best. That's like, just like a guy from Jersey should.
Yeah.
And of course we got to talk about the infamous raft scene, right? So yeah. Like, that's such a great fake out, because you assume that these are the kids that are going to make it. And I was sitting there counting the kids. There's 17 kids and 2 counselors. No, 15 kids and 2 counselors, so 17 people. And if you count, over half of these kids die. 8 kids die. These are the worst counselors of all time. They lost over half of the kids. And they come back, and there's like kids crying, and that guy's like, where are my canoes? I'm like, I'm going to whoop your ass, bud. You know what? But,
yeah, that scene... Like I feel like most of the kill scenes kind of feel this way. There's like when someone's about to be killed, like logic kind of goes out the window and for the sake of like being as scary as possible, because it's not just in the raft scene, but the raft scene feels like a nightmare. Like the slow approach, and then like how quickly everything happens and how disconnected the shots are, and like the really clever close-ups of like before the shears hit anything, they hit the canoe, so like you see it splinter, and then in the next shot it hits somebody. There's something very dreamy and artsy about the way that the kill scenes are executed, and I think that one is like the ultimate example of that.
Savini 101. Show the weapon hit something real. He does it every time, and then you show it go into the person. It works. It's a magic trick,
smart.
man.
It's smart. Yeah.
It's an illusion, I guess you'd say, or something. Whatever he says, but that he's dead on right.
No, he's absolutely right. It's well constructed. I would assume that he had a lot to do with like not just the effects, but like the way the sequences played out, and that's why they're good. Because the other part that's like dream logic is it's Glazer's death when he goes and he's pulling the sleeping bag aside, and then it's like he reveals the shears, and then they fly up and get him in the neck. But like for Cropsey to have been there, he would have to literally be like beside the sleeping bag with the shears hidden underneath. So like if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. But in the moment, it's really scary. It's like, oh, I'm pulling this back and something's flying up at me, and you kind of forget that it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And not to mention just how freaking strong Cropsey is. Like,
because Glazer's at least 185. He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a strong boy, and Cropsey is, made of bacon at this point. So like the fact that they lifted him up and stuck him to the tree. But yeah, that rap scene is wild. I think that there's a couple of parts where like I think they linger on Fisher Stevens' cut off fingers a little too long, and they linger on Eddie too long, and you realize how long his fake neck is. But other than that, like that's really really well done. It holds up pretty well.
I really actually felt bad for Fisher Stevens because he's got to be like everybody's second, third favorite character in the movie. He's well established. He's just he's funny. He looks unique. I mean, and there's also that one guy on the raft who's like fake Jason Lively, who's like, hey, I'm not Jason Lively, but I bet you thought I was. The guy from he looks like the guy from Night of the Creeps. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like as you look around, the characters, not all of them are like super well established, but you recognize all the kids. Like if they threw a couple kids in the background at the very end that you didn't know, you're like, that kid wasn't there. But like you know who they are. So when they bite it, it seems genuinely like there's actually stakes.
Well, it's that thing where they used to cast movies where everybody looked kind of different. Like people in movies now just kind of all look the same. Yeah. Like it's weird. Like I've complained about this a lot, but everyone's too hot and nobody's having sex. That's what modern movies are like. And when you watch something made before the year 2000, pretty much, you see a lot more diverse cast of characters. There's more character actors. Like they really it helps to be able to distinguish people just visually. None of them are the same height or build or anything. They are a lot of different hair colors. You can tell people apart.
Yeah, and like you said, I feel like the character actor is kind of dead. Like it feels like it. I mean, for me at least. I mean, I've always been a big fan of character actors, and I watched a movie yesterday from 1975 called Day of the Locust. It wasn't a popular film. It was a big director. I'm sure it had a lot of money, but it was probably considered a mid-tier movie when it came out. People were probably disappointing. Watching it now, I was like, oh, that was excellent. And a big chunk of it was just the cast alone carried the movie. Yeah. I mean, if you got like Donald Sutherland, Karen Black, William Atherton, Billy Barty, Burgess Meredith, Bo Hopkins, and Richard Dysart, I mean, you're good. You don't need anything else. You need a decent script. They'll do the rest.
You sometimes you don't even need a decent script because character actors will find a way to deliver the lines that is unique and memorable and stuff. So yeah, I think that's kind of true. Maybe that'll come back. I don't know, because now what we do is we force leading men into the character actor roles. And some of them are great at it. Like I think like Ryan Gosling can do both things. Like I've seen him as in those like goofy character actor roles, and he's great. And then as a leading man, he does great. But a movie I saw recently that I think suffers the same thing is Fincher's The Killer. Have you seen that one yet?
No.
So Fincher's The Killer, like I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I just think that movie would have been better if it wasn't Fassbender and it was if there was more of a character actor in that part instead of a handsome leading man type.
Well, I mean, some of them do well. Like, I would say that it doesn't always work either. Like, I thought Bradley Cooper was really good at Nightmare Alley it's not exactly a character actor performance, but it's a performance that requires a couple different moves and kind of a weirdo person. And Star is Born, he's definitely not playing a typical. So I think some of the guys can do it. Like Leo can do it. Leo gets weird as shit. Yeah. So, I mean, there's some actors that Brad Pitt gets weird as shit too. Brad Pitt, they always say, is kind of that guy that's like, I'm a leading man that always is a character actor at the same time,
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. I don't know if it was like, if it started with like Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean, but they kind of figured out they can make their leading man act weird and audiences will still like it. So then we lost our character actors in big roles pretty much.
Yeah, and then they just hire foreign guys to play all the leads, and I guess it's like, hey, we need a guy from Alabama. Yeah, well, this guy from Britain's pretty good. For Alabama? Yeah. Why not just hire this guy from Alabama? Nah. Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very weird.
So as far as 1981 is concerned as a whole, I mean, it's a pretty strong year. Where's The Burning sit? In top 5, top 10 for you?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know everything that was released in 81. But I do like The Burning. Although when I was watching it, I was kind of like, I understand why critics didn't like these movies at the time, because it's kind of like they just took what Hitchcock was doing and then just like sleazed it up. They just like Hitchcock plus gore and tits plus the script isn't as good. So I kind of like, as I was watching, even though I like that movie and I like lots of, campy 80s movies, I was like, oh, I kind of see where they were coming from. I see why people didn't like these at the time.
I think this one is probably your favorite slasher, right?
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I'm trying to think, because I do like My Bloody Valentine. And there's a couple of Friday the 13th that I like quite a bit. But I think, if I had to like pick one slasher and be like, that's the one I'd want to watch, it'd probably be The Burning.
So instead of doing better or worse, 1981 slashers, I'm going to say thumbs up, thumbs down. And if you don't know it, just like, I don't know. Okay. Halloween 2.
Thumbs down.
Friday 13th 2. My Bloody Valentine. The Funhouse.
I'd have to watch again. It scared me as a kid. I'll give it a thumbs up because it scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Now, there's a couple that are borderline slashers, so more Hitchcockian. Road Games.
Road Games is good. I like Road Games.
The Prowler.
I actually like The Prowler. I know that a lot of people don't, but I think as just like a meat and potato slasher, it's pretty good.
Happy Birthday to Me.
I haven't seen that one.
Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker.
I haven't seen that one.
Madman.
Oh, I watched that recently. I don't remember it, so I'm going to give it a thumbs down. I know I watched it, but I don't remember it.
Just Before Dawn.
I haven't seen that one. Or wait.
Hell Night.
Wait, what's Just Before Dawn? That's not the
woods one with
I'm thinking Town That Dreaded Sundown. Never mind. Yeah. I don't know that one. Okay.
Hell Night.
Haven't seen Hell Night.
Bloody Birthday.
Haven't seen Bloody Birthday.
Final Exam.
Haven't seen Final Exam.
I mean, a lot of these. Student Bodies. It's a comedy.
I think, is that the one Brad Pitt's in?
No, that's Cutting Class.
Cutting Class. No, I don't think I've seen Student Bodies.
We'll give Cutting Class a down, though.
Okay.
I haven't seen Cutting Class in 20 years. Nightmares in a Damaged Brain.
Never seen that one. I'll get thumbs down, and I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Graduation Day.
Haven't seen that one. These all came out in 1981?
I don't think you've probably seen many of these. So we got Graduation Day, Bloody Moon, Strange Behavior, it's kind of a slasher, Night School, Hospital Massacre, Absurd, The Fan, Madhouse, Don't Go in the Woods, Eyes of a Stranger, Home Sweet Home, Scream.
Wait. Madhouse is Vincent Price?
No, that's 73. This is a different Madhouse.
Okay, I like the other one. I haven't seen this one.
This one's pretty good. This one's really fucking trippy. Yeah, that's a lot of fucking slashers in 81.
It really is. I guess I knew that there were a lot in the 80s. I didn't realize how many came out in 81. That's wild.
So it's like after 80, because there was a handful. You had 78, you had, of course, Halloween, and then Friday came out. Friday's the one that everybody's like, we can make money off these and make some.
Is that what it was? Like they all came out in the wake of Friday the 13th making money? Is that what it is?
I think so. I mean, Halloween's 78, but a lot of those movies played in theaters forever. So Halloween and Friday just pushing these people to make all these movies. And Friday...
Isn't it funny? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Friday's popularity is the reason I think Halloween 2 was made.
Yeah.
I mean, they were going to make a sequel, but I think that they made it more gory. They made it more gory and violent because Friday was more gory and violent.
It's just funny to think about because it's the equivalent of like the biggest horror movie of this year was what, Five Nights at Freddy's? So it would be like if Five Nights at Freddy's comes out and then all of a sudden in next year, there are just like 30 movies about haunted Chuck E. Cheese's.
But the thing is, though, Five Nights at Freddy's is actually the last one after
I know.
Banana Splits and Willy's Wonderland. Yeah, so it's like The only one I watched was Banana Splits, and I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, it's not fucking gold; it's silly.
It's okay. I watched that one. I watched Willy's Wonderland, and I watched Five Nights at Freddy's. And Five Nights at Freddy's is probably technically the best one of those, but it's nothing. I understand Five Nights at Freddy's place in like the pantheon of horror movies that like kids can watch, but it's just whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like it was going to be for me. Like I was like, I don't know if that's
yeah, it's like middle of the road for me, but for someone who likes that stuff, it's probably awesome. Is how I look at it.
I think I don't know if I have too much more to say about The Burning. I mean, I'm a big fan of it. Great special effects, decent kill count, good acting, way better than most acting for the time for those kind of movies. Good location, great location.
Yeah, I think maybe the reason I like it above other slashers is because it's pretty interesting to watch aside from just the slasher trappings. Like those actors are fun to watch. Like I said, it's shot really well, and I like how weird the horror scenes are. I like just how weird the editing gets and the sound design and stuff. It has a look and feel of its own that I don't see in a lot of other slasher flicks.
And I really wish they would have killed Brian Backer. I would have loved Alfred to get killed. I don't like him. I wanted not the actor. The actor's fine. I wanted him to die. He deserved it. All the people that died, he had it coming. I don't know
if anybody deserved it exactly, but yeah, I didn't love him. He wasn't, because he's the kid who was peeping in the shower and then he was watching Glazer have sex. Yeah, he's just kind of a creep. But he also
not a fan.
He didn't have the internet back then, Dave. So he had to go peeping.
Go Peepin'. Why isn't there a movie called Go Peep? Little Go Peepin'.
I'd watch that. Little Go Peep.
Little Go Peepin'. So the one thing, like I should mention, the first girl who dies, I felt so fucking bad for her. The whole situation, like her clothes are strewn out, and she's like, "Oh, my clothes." I'm like, Jesus Christ. And full frontal too. I was like, that's crazy.
It's kind of shocking when she turns around. I'm like, oh, she's just completely naked. And that was another. I had like an old man moment where I was like, I used to watch this movie and just be like, all right, naked girl. And now I'm 38 and I watch it and I'm like, how old is that girl? I don't feel okay watching this. That looks like she looks too young. I don't like this.
and Friday too, there was somebody who was like 17 and there was a nude scene and they had to fucking cut it because she was 17. They're like, they didn't know. They're like, what the fuck, lady? Like,
well, at least they cut it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just that weird thing. Like you get older and it's just like, I don't know. That she looks too young. I don't like this.
You're less the boyfriend age. You're more her dad's age, and you're like, oh, get some clothes on. Why she gotta be naked like that?
If she was 19, I'm literally twice her age, and it's a little weird. I'm like, where's all the moms? We'll get some naked moms in this movie.
But that counselor, it's a little hot by that fire. How about you take your shirt off? No, I forgot what I was going to say. I had one more thing I was going to mention. I think I lost it. It's gone. It's gone to the
sorry.
Oh, I was going to say the there's a couple people I know who absolutely do not like The Burning.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid, The Burning was really hard to find, and it was kind of like a lost gem. And I ended up getting like an Amazon exclusive VHS tape that was really shitty looking, but it was like in white. It looked good. And I watched it. I was 16. I watched that tape 40 fucking times. I showed everybody. I was like, this is The Burning. All my friends dug it, really liked it. And it became like, it was so underrated for so long. Made the Video Nasties list. And then it started getting so much appreciation. And the Blu-ray came out. And I think there was a lot of kickback on it because people had not heard about it and it got overhyped. And there's a lot of people that say that they just don't like it because it genuinely feels very studio, very bland, studio, polished in comparison to some of the dirtier, nastier slashers. And I think that there's got to be a couple. It does look more expensive than Friday. It even looks more expensive than Halloween 2.
I guess maybe they're right, but I think the polish is what makes me like it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
And not that I don't like cheap movies, but I like that it kind of, I don't. It's really funny that a movie that could be considered bland at the time is so different looking now because movies are so much more bland in general most of the time.
Yeah. All done by committee.
Yeah. So like you and I always say, like, if you go back like 20 or 30 years, 40 years at this point, some of the bad movies are pretty good. Like even a bad movie was good.
Like I said, Day of the Locust, probably hated. I was like, that's a 4.5 for me. Like
that's a fine picture. Yeah.
Yeah, like well, I remember when Soldier's a great one, Paul Anderson movie. When that came out, I was like, mediocre as balls. Watched it like 10 years ago. I was like, pretty fucking good.
It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. It's weird that nobody paid attention to it because it's pretty solid little sci-fi action flick.
It's fine. It's perfectly fine. My brother always used to make fun of Kurt Russell in the movie because he's like, "What does his fucking eyes look like this?"
He's just got tiny eyes. He always has.
He's got that weird thing when it comes down on there. And anyways, I think I'm good on The Burning. I know that there's some other movies we'll talk about. I mean, as far as 81, besides like slashers, I mean, you have American Werewolf in London, The Howling, all the werewolf ones. You have Possession, The Evil Dead, Dead and Buried. A lot of strong films. It's a really strong year, honestly.
Yeah, you named some good ones that I really like. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you got anything to plug? Anything to talk about?
Not really. Not especially. I don't know. I don't got nothing. The Burning's good. Go watch The Burning. If you don't like it, watch it again because you're wrong.
Oh. One more funny thing is the movie Don't Go in the House was originally to be called The Burning. It was made in 79. I don't think it got a wide release till 80, but it counts as a 79. And that movie, I think they changed the name of it, I think, because The Burning was out or something. I don't know why, but they ended up screwing around with the names. But the movie is way more, should be aptly titled The Burning because it's about a guy with mommy issues who kidnaps women and burns them in his fireproof attic with a flamethrower.
Ooh.
Really nasty, but good movie.
That's wild.
It's really... Yeah,
that should definitely be called The Burning because The Burning could have just been called Cropsy, and it would have been just fine. Yeah.
Or Camp Blackfoot, anything you want to call it.
Oh, the Camp Cropsy.
Camp Cropsy. The Madman also, I think, was going to be called Cropsy, but when they found out this one was coming out, they were like, "Oh fuck," at the same time and everything. But that's all I have to say about The Burning. See ya.
Every year he kills. Right now, he's out there watching, waiting. So don't look. He'll see you. Don't breathe. He'll hear you. Don't move. You're dead!